Thanks for joining us for Fox 43 News at 5. I'm Evan Forrester. U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. kicking off a nationwide tour in Harrisburg today where he promoted his department's new dietary guidelines for Americans. Now, Fox 43's James Corrigan live at the state capitol where the secretary spoke. Here's details of Kennedy's speech and protesters who spoke out against his vaccine policies.
Evan, RFK Jr. began his Eat Real Food tour right here in the Capitol Rotunda today. He spoke about obesity and the rise of chronic diseases and making Americans more healthy. He did not talk about in his initial speech vaccines, but the opponents and protesters who came here today look to put that in focus, his controversial stance on vaccines and the policies that it's helped shape. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was met with applause from supporters in the state capitol on the first stop of his Eat Real Food tour, promoting the new dietary guidelines from the Health and Human Services Department, prioritizing protein and whole-fat milk in the diet.
They told us for the last 40 years to eat as much as we could of refined carbohydrates. We're telling Americans it's time to start eating real food again.
Doctors save lives! Doctors save lives!
RFK's reception outside the Capitol was starkly different, as protesters gathered to speak out against his dropping recommendations against common vaccines for children, including hepatitis B, meningitis, and the flu.
I have a problem when he talks about vaccines causing autism without any data to back it up.
I'm old enough to remember when we didn't have vaccines.
We want our kids to be able to reach adulthood and be healthy and have active, full lives.
Kennedy says those vaccines needed to be tested more and that his new policies will give better information to doctors and their patients.
Only one of them has ever gone through a randomized placebo-controlled trial prior to licensure, and that was the COVID vaccine. The other ones, we don't know what the risk profile is.
Republican leaders in the House and Senate, along with Treasurer Stacey Garrity, stood in support as Kennedy spoke about rising rates of obesity and diabetes and lowering drug prices. He pointed to the Trump administration's focus on lowering chronic disease rates, while opponents pointed to the rise in measles cases nationwide and to demonizing vaccines, which have kept children healthy.
We're not going to be able to medicate ourselves out of this crisis with our children. We can't subsidize sickness forever.
We've seen deaths from whooping cough, completely preventable. This is the direct result of policies and rhetoric coming from RFK Jr., President Trump, and D.C.
Now, the secretary was asked about that new food pyramid and its reliance on saturated fats with red meat and whole fat milk. He said the science behind saturated fats is not clear, but what is clear is the need to increase our intake of protein. There are no current other stops on the tour as of yet, the Eat Real Food tour, but it's very clear that RFK Jr.'s rhetoric on food and opponents' rhetoric on vaccines will dominate here in 2026. Live in Harrisburg, I'm James Corrigan with Fox 43 News.
All right, James, thank you very much.